you, Max. Welcome to another Specular Board Games Fun Filled Feld February video 2. We got 4 more Damn it. It's screwing me up. Alright, try this again. Welcome to our second video of Specular Board Games Fun Filled Feld February. Ooh. Getting better at it, hell yeah. We got 4 new games for you. But I am Ryan.
I'm Max.
I'm Keegan.
That's right. Stay tuned. Four new games for you to check out and hear about our thoughts on these. This second video, we got ourselves Aqua Sphere, Macao, Trajan, and Bonfire. This is also our second attempt at filming this. Somehow I lost the footage of the first one.
It ran away.
Pissed me off.
Are you recording right now?
I am recording right now.
You sure?
I do hope so.
We'll find out if this is on YouTube in a day or two.
Yeah, so this week's, it's a little bit different. They're not quite the same mechanic-wise that we had in our first video, but we got some of his classic ones and then ones that are a little bit different, not quite Feld as you might think, but definitely feel like him. To start off, we're going to start with Aqua Sphere. So, what do you guys think?
I think I agree with the fact it doesn't feel like a normal Feld game. I like it, but not enough to buy it. I think that's where I'm at with it. I think the ideas in there are really cool. Like I like the not area. What kind of area majority? Yeah, area majority. That I like the aspect of that part of the game a lot. With the idea of like pushing people's robots out, I think is really cool, and even pushing your own things out as a strategy is pretty fun. And I also like the fact that this is out of the games we played of his so far. This is the first one we played that has programming in it, and I like action programming in games a lot. I know it's interesting. There's a lot of cool ideas in there. It's probably one of his meaner games. So if you want to play a Feld game where you can feel like an asshole, this is a good choice.
It's weird. I own it. I'm gonna keep it. I like it. I liked it. I think the most of the three of us, but it is different. But I think it's different. Like that's why I want to keep it. Is it's different enough. It is a little random. Maybe not just as random as some other of his games, but yeah, I like, and it's just weird. It's a weird theme. It's just everything in it is really kind of ugly and weird, and I like it.
At least it's consistent. Feld games, ugly, weird, and the theme kind of doesn't matter.
Yeah, you're running like the best who runs the best science lab and gets the most knowledge points.
And killing squids.
You're killing squids, and yeah.
Getting black rocks.
It's maybe a little bit too much for what it is, like setup-wise and upkeep-wise between rounds. Maybe it's on the edge, but I still like it. It's not my favorite. I had pretty high hopes for it reading it and looking into it, and it maybe made like just under that. It wasn't exactly what I thought it was going to be, but I did enjoy the player interaction. And the different mechanics in the game. It's a very different way of going about a game than a lot of games that are around now. I feel like with the programming and stuff in it. So yeah, it's worth a shot. But
and then there's Ryan's
and then
opinion.
There's me, and we're gonna go through this again. So I enjoyed it the first time, just when Max and I played. I found it interesting, but as I played it again with more player counts, a 3-player. I was having trouble with all the random changing each round, like how the time the squids come out each round is random, and then you got the lab tiles, the technology ones that are random, and then every round you even switch up the actual programming actions that you do.
Where
And it
they,
just-
where they are, the way to get to
the way
them.
to get to them, you can't get to all of them, and they keep changing. And for a programming type game, it didn't feel right that these actions that I'm trying to program are going to change from round to round. It just felt like one too many things were random. I would have preferred I mean, I'm okay with it being random for the very first play, right? You can just switch it up every time, but then just leave it at those are their actions, and they'll stay in that order the entire game. And you can use that and think about the programming, and then each round kind of assess where new technologies, new lab tiles come out, and then you can kind of plan around that, knowing, like, okay, so this is the actions I'm going to be able to do. If I need to do it, I'm going to have to go in this order. Next round, I'll go in this order, and I'll never have to worry about them changing on me. I would like to play it without it and just let it be the random in the beginning, just whatever it's going to be at the beginning, and then just play with them not moving each round.
I disagree. I think that's interesting they move around.
There's
but,
just so
but
much
it's just-
going on in this game that just doesn't need this additional aspect of it.
Yeah, I understand where you're coming from. It doesn't bother me, and I like it that it moves around, keeps it fresh, or
Keeps you on the edge, like on your
it
toes.
makes you. It's different in that, like, you can't plan every single thing out in it. Like, you can do what you can for the round, but you can't. Like in some of his other games, like, you can't look at the board and go like, okay, I'm going to do this and this round, the next round. Like, which I know is more of a game style you like to do. I don't mind that you can't do that in this one. It doesn't subtract from me. It doesn't. It's not like a huge bonus or benefit. I just don't mind it. Like,
Yeah. That's
But-
where. Oh, go ahead.
But with three aspects changing every round, doesn't that's enough to say to not be able to fully plan it? At least then, like, you can just see round to round where certain technologies, certain the lab tiles are, where the squids are going to come out, where the time's going to come out, and just see it round to round. But then why are you also changing just your actual actions?
Because it makes the game more tactical than instead of strategic, which I like. Because you and I are the opposite spectrums when it comes to board games with that
Yeah.
aspect. Like, Ryan very much just likes to make a strategy from the get-go and just follow it through the whole game. And I rather just fly on by the seat of my pants and go, I can't do this turn. I'll do something else. And like, I like games like that. And I think the fact that the actions getting rearranged on the program board, I think is good for me, because I like being able to look down and go, I really wanted to put a sub down this next round, but maybe it's more beneficial for me to go for this technology tile now that I have access to that and just grab more time. Like, I like being able to, like, switch it up and go, I don't need to stick to this every round. And if I can't, perfect, I'll just go do something else.
to me, it does what he always. It makes more hard choices. It gives you tension and trying to figure out what you're gonna do, as opposed to just knowing and like. To me, the tension of, like, not knowing if I'm going to be able to do every action I want, or I might not be able to get to this action, so I have to go this route, or I can do 2 out of the 3 of the ones I want. I like that tension in the game. If it was just, I know what I can do, I can just plan it out throughout the whole game, it wouldn't be as interesting to me. It just wouldn't be as interesting.
But isn't it? I mean, it's not like you can do every action anyway, so the tension's is not going away if you just didn't move them around. The tension's still there. You're not, like, when you seed it
You can
in the
do
beginning,
most of them.
you can do most of them, but not
I think
always.
there's
You would
one
have
or,
to
one or
three. I think there's three
maybe
actions
if
that
you
you
spend
can't
if
get
you spend
to.
the time, you get to do it. Yeah, it wasn't enough of a thing for me to make it ruin the experience.
I mean, for me, if the track was just the same between every round, I would think that would be insanely boring for me. Because I'd just be like, I'm just going to go up this right side the entire game. Just every round is I'm going to do this.
But
And
even doing that, you can't always do that.
I don't like it. I like it as it is. I think of having a consistent board like that would take an aspect of the game away that would make me like the game less. That's just for me.
I guess this wanting to be an action programming game, it just feels so weird that you're going to move around those actions each time.
But
Doesn't make sense.
I mean, there's a way to mitigate it though too, because you can spend time to buy an action that you actually want to take, and you're allowed to do that once around. So the main thing with this game, if you are going to play it, just always make sure you have time. As long as you have the time resource, you're pretty open to things.
That, and there's also the technologies, which in between rounds let you program a robot into certain spaces depending on which technology you get. But there is a lot of different random technologies. There's a lot of different lab tiles. I know I'll want some of them in a round, but not necessarily specific ones. Or sometimes I don't have the ability to get over to the ones, or the timing's weird on things. So that all makes it interesting puzzle to me. But at the end of the day, it's just like, it's good. But I think, it wasn't quite what I wanted. But I think we've talked enough about Aqua Sphere.
Yeah, the last thing I was going to say, like, this just goes for all of his games. I think I mentioned this on the first time we recorded it, footage that ran away. But right before we filmed this, the initial time, I saw a post on Facebook where somebody said, I'm having a Feld game night with some friends. If I told you we're having a Feld night, what Feld games would you expect to see at the table? Besides almost everyone saying Castles of Burgundy or Trajan, almost every comment had a different game in there, which is like a great compliment, I think, to Feld, that every one of his games is someone's favorite Feld game, including Aqua Sphere. Someone put on there, I just want to play Aqua Sphere, I don't care what the other ones are. Like, every single one of his games, someone can find it and go, this is my favorite one. It's really cool. Kudos to him for making so much different stuff.
Yeah, and I think that's why the whole reason why we're doing these videos is to explore them all, because there's so many. And I think Aqua Sphere is a solid game. I'm going to keep it around. I'll pull it out every once in a while, and if anyone else wanted to play it or suggested, I'd be happy to play it. But there are other Felds I would pick over it. So
Such as...
we're going on a
I actually
Bonfire?
don't know if this one's one. But we'll put this one over here.
Spoiler, this was in my top 5 favorite games of 2020 in the video that we did. I think it was yours too, right?
It was in there, yeah.
Yep. So two of us, he doesn't count because all of his top 5 were expansions, like a weirdo. But yeah, check that video out, our top 5 games of 2020. The Bonfire is just great. It's so good. Like, I know, like, a lot of people said, like, this was Feld coming back to Feld form, because some people were disappointed in some of his previous releases.
Okay.
It's Feld form. And this was like, yes, this makes me fall in love with Feld again. And I can totally see why. It's great.
Yeah,
I like it.
I like it. I really like Bonfire.
Great. Okay, so now.
Well, no, I guess we can
let's
say
just-
what we like about it. Like, so we've talked about before. In this one, there are different gnomes you can get, which give you different special abilities or let you to break the game in certain ways. And that's like when I was reading the rules for the game and everything, I kept being like, okay, where's the game going to kick in? And then once I read about those, I was like, okay, this is where the game is at. Like, finding those gnomes that can kind of complement each other and then just using them over and over and over and over again as many times as you can is really key, I think, way to win this game. Possibly.
Yeah, it's probably one of the
But
It gives you a good round.
big aspect of this game is trying to find a way to actually make the most use of the gnomes and getting them to combo off each other. Because this is very much about trying to manage how many actions you have and trying not to run out of them too fast.
Like me and Max.
You guys go through them a lot.
At the end of almost every game, me and Keegan and I, we have like one action tile left maybe, and Ryan has like 4 or 5.
Yeah.
Like,
I really love the challenge of trying to find a way to manage those action tiles and like not having to have to keep going back and using a turn to actually place that down to get more of them, knowing I'm gonna lose points for it. It's a fun challenge that I found when I played this.
Yeah.
And the gnomes come into a huge aspect of that. And it's just, I found it fun to just like, trying to like, you grab one gnome and then just sort of waiting around and go, okay, wait, which gnome's gonna work next? Oh, that's a good one. I'm gonna work on that, and then I'm just gonna use those two to create this
Crazy
engine,
turn.
this whatever, this combo that I can do. And
I mean, Bonfire had one of my favorite gaming moments of all of last year between us when we were playing it the first time, because I love games where you have like a really big visceral reaction to something happening in the game, and this was the first time we played it. Every time a gnome card came out, we were like, what does that one do? Oh shit, I want it. And then someone else would buy it, and you're like, well great, now I don't get it. But then the new card flip over, and you go, holy shit, that gnome, and the person that just bought the previous gnome went, well I want that one instead now, damn it. Like,
broken.
yeah, all the gnomes are really cool, but I'm also a huge fan of games that have overpowered everything. Like, overpowered, every card in the game is overpowered, I love, because it makes you have to make a lot of tough choices, because there's no shitty card, they're all good. And this one definitely has that. Like, the gnomes are such a clever mechanic. It's just cards, but it's really good.
Yeah, and I think we all are on the same, we all really like Bonfire. It has a similar, it's not the same mechanic, but is Trajan. Trajan has this sort of Mancala wheel thing. Bonfire has these tiles that you lay down. If you can lay them in the right ways, you can get extra action tiles. And the gnomes and that little puzzle right there is I think what keeps me coming back to the game is like the I am horrible at the action selection puzzle tile area of that game. But I love it, and trying to master that, I think, is a huge part of mastering the game. And it's going to take me a lot of games before I can really figure that one out. So yeah, it's a really solid puzzle that I really enjoy, and then just the whole package of the game is really fun.
It's funny because like you like want to try to master that tile aspect, and I just completely ignore it almost the whole time. And I'm just like, I'm mastering the gnomes and the center like spinning
the bonfire.
thing. Yeah, the actual bonfire of like continuously turning it, trading one action for another action, and like waiting and timing it. Hopefully someone's gonna like move it, like, because then I need the next one. And
yeah. But who won the last game?
Yeah, fuck you, because you took the goddamn the one action the one tile that I needed.
See, that speaking of that,
pissed me off so much.
This is a good transition into another thing with this game too. Opposite of Aqua Sphere, this one does not directly mean. Like, you're not directly affecting each other.
Yeah.
You're taking something that someone else might want, but you're not necessarily taking it because, at least for me, this isn't a game where I'm trying to look at everyone's board and be like, what can I do to screw this person over?
Although you kept doing it to me. He kept
by
taking,
accident,
he
not
kept
on
taking the
purpose.
tile. I kept going, where is that tile? And he was like, oh, I took the last one. I'm like,
I have
"Ugh."
it. So it's one of those games where you're just trying to like find the things that you need, and they happen to screw the other person over potentially. Like, if you want a game that's less mean and there's a really good puzzle to it, and you don't feel like you want to interact with your opponents too much, this is a really good really good solid choice for it too.
Yeah.
And with the action tiles too, just because you said it, which we'll review in the next video, but the action tiles are a little bit like the Luna tiles. If you played Luna before, where you have action tiles that let you do certain things, it's very similar in Bonfire, where you have to have a specific tile to do a specific action. It's great. It's so good.
Speaking of, I guess, not really interacting with and kind of doing your own thing, Trajan. I mean, that game is one that you're definitely not interacting with the other players a whole lot. You may block somebody from something occasionally.
Like you might take a tile they wanted, or
you might beat them out to a military location with a bread token.
yeah.
or
If you're
whatever,
trying
but-
to block somebody on like the architect, I think it's the architect thing where you build the buildings or whatever. Like, you're probably not playing the game. I mean, like, I guess you could try and do it, but I mean, like, if you're specifically going for that to like block somebody, I
Yeah,
don't
this
know
is
that
not a
that's-
great game to
that's
try and
not-
block
that's
somebody
not-
because you're
no.
just really hurt yourself doing it.
It's a bunch
Yeah.
of mini games that you're kind of playing by yourself. Kind of. I mean,
Kind
there's
of,
some.
yeah.
There's some, but yeah.
But the real aspect of this game is the Mancala wheel.
that
which
wheel's
is
so damn good.
yes,
It's
this
so clever.
That's you got your main board right with all the different areas that you're going to be using to help get points, but it's how you're managing this Mancala and moving these little pawns around to actually do the actions, and set up that architect wheel right so that they land, and then you can actually activate the tile and finish the tile right.
Yeah. So like the tiles on your wheel, they have 2 colors on the tile, and you have 6 different colored pieces.
Yeah, something like that.
A pair.
Something like that.
Yeah, like it's like 6 different colored pieces. You have 2 of each color, and you have to get the colors to be in the same spot that match the colors on your tile. but they can't just be there. You have to end your move on that spot. So there's a lot of like you trying to line things up, and like that's like Ryan said, probably one of the coolest little mini games you can do on your board.
Yeah.
And also, not only are you trying to figure out like I need to drop this many pieces to hit this spot, but because I have to drop these pieces, that's also the turn timer for the game and the round timer.
That's the rad part of the game.
Which is probably the most dick thing you can do in the game, where if you can see like I know Ryan wants to do this at the end of this round, but I'm just gonna end the round, screw it, and just make the piece like.
Oh, they don't have bread or helmets. Oh,
I did that to
round
Keegan.
timer. Yeah, you did that to me.
Keegan,
yeah. Oh, I love. That's probably one of my favorite parts of the game. And that, like I've said before, but like with Trajan, I got it, and I was just so like wowed by it. I think a lot of people who like felt like it was just like all these different little games, and then like the more I played it, those little mini games aren't as interesting to me. But the same thing with Bonfire. The thing that keeps me coming back is that Mancala wheel, and like trying to master that and just streamline my plays. This is why I keep the game around. And it's really fun. It's pretty easy to teach. It's it's just a solid game.
Yeah, just like the one mechanic, like your action thing, just gives you like so much to think about on your turn and so much planning that you're trying to do that it's one of those that tickles my brain that I really love, because you can be like, all right, I can move these ones 2 spaces, but wait, no, I first need to move this one so that there'll be 3 spaces there, so the next turn it'll go 1, 2, 3, so I can activate this one. And it's a lot of fun trying to plan out and figure out multiple turns ahead of like where I'm going to be landing, which ones I'm going to be doing.
Well, it keeps you engaged on other players' turns too, which is something I really like in games. Is when it's the other player's turn, they might be taking a long turn, but you can still be looking. Okay, I'm going to do this, but then if I do that, I'm going to do like you can look 10 moves ahead. But I mean, if you're really good, like on your board, and try and really, it just gives you a little game to play while everyone else is doing their moves, and that's great.
It's one of those things too, like this game's a classic for a reason, and like I'm ashamed that I hadn't played it until like 3 weeks ago. I'm super pissed off about that. I missed out on so many good times. But it's like, this is like Feld. Everyone knows Feld as being like the point salad guy. This is like Top's point salad game of his. Like
everything you're doing, there's points
everything
somewhere.
You do is like some type of immediate gratification, which our friend JR that we've talked to a bunch, who actually we got the next game we're talking about from,
we got Aqua Sphere from.
And Aqua Sphere, like him and I had a chat when I picked this up from him, saying that like Trajan's his favorite Feld game, whereas mine's Castles of Burgundy, and both of them are very like
so far,
both of them are very much like you get something right away every time you do a turn. It feels really good. You're getting points constantly, and we kind of had like a debate about this, that we think, if you're a person coming into board games and you play a Feld, your favorite Feld, potentially, out of Trajan and Castles of Burgundy is whichever one you played first. And
probably.
He said, he's like, Trajan was my first Feld game and it's still my favorite. And I was like, Burgundy was my first Feld game and it's still currently my favorite, at least for now.
I don't know. I played Castles first, and I think, I mean, I probably enjoy Trajan more just because I have a lot of fun with the Mancala, and it's just, me as a player really loves working out multiple turns ahead. And obviously, like we were saying, you can do that, but it isn't like, okay, you plan 10 turns out because whatever, you're super good at that, right? But something else with the other players happens, you kind of have to rethink it, and you go, ooh, okay, sweet, new puzzle to have to take out of what I'm going to be doing, right? Because they took a certain tile that you wanted to try to get on the board, or move their military guy somewhere, and you go, wait, let me rethink this a little bit and play out in the next 10 turns, right? So it's you're not going to just be like, okay, got it, and I'm just going to play it out the game. It'll also change throughout the game, so that's really nice.
I think that game could also fit into what we said about last video's games. It borderline fits on that. This is the cozy game section. Like it's a little, it's heavier than the ones we reviewed last video. But I still feel like if you want to have a cozy night, like I'm gonna get my wine and light the fire and play some Trajan, like it fits, like it works.
Yeah, it's not a mean game, and once you know how all the little mini games work, they're mini games. Like they're not that difficult to figure out.
When we say mini games, it's like it's an extremely exaggerated term for it. But you'll understand if you play it, or when you play it.
If you've played it. Yeah, but I just mean like once you kind of get the way they all interlock, it's not difficult to just. Yeah, so...
I mean, we can universally recommend Trajan.
Yeah.
And not spoil anything for later, but play Trajan if you haven't.
Yeah.
Now... Macao. Ooh. I am so glad
Thank you.
that JR, I'm taking over, baby. JR sold us his copy of this. I don't know why.
This is a nice dude.
I really, really like Macao. It has, I think they call it the Rose Wheel, which is another
The Windrose.
Windrose.
Yep.
The Windrose. Yeah. Sorry. It's a very, very bizarre mechanic in board games that I don't know if I've really seen before, where you pick a dice and you're gonna get it's a certain colored dice. It's
Kind
like,
of action programmy.
Yeah, it's
but
like
you don't know what you're doing.
A green 6,
Yeah.
and you go, okay, well I'm gonna get 6 green cubes, but I'm not gonna get them until the 6th round, and then as you keep going, you have to like plan ahead, but you don't know what you're planning for necessarily. It's tense.
You might.
Right.
I know.
It's tense right from the beginning. Your first action is just like, and then you're buying cards and you're trying to get them off your tableau, and it does the thing that I really enjoy in Felds, where there's a bunch of ways to give negative points. Like, oh, you didn't get stuff off your board, negative points. Oh, you didn't do this, negative points.
Can't do any actions this turn, negative
Negative
points.
points. Oh, you do.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's
You take a negative.
and then but then there's also lots of ways to get points, and it's very different. Good luck trying to find a copy.
Don't buy one. If you see it for $50, get it. If you see it any more than 50, just wait.
I'm interested to see the new version that got kickstarted.
Amsterdam.
Yeah.
Yes.
It looks cool.
And I'm really sad that I did the Hamburg one. And didn't do this one.
Yep.
And spoiler, I like this one more than I like
I'm sure you could trade.
Bruges. I know, but
Spoiler, I like Bruges more, but
I did hear
it's
some
moving so the camera can't see it.
I did hear somebody say something about like this game has negative theme. Like the theme is so bad. I think it was somebody on. I think it was the guy who taught it on Heavy Cardboard. I think when I watched one of their videos, it was like you're buying goods to go ship out, but your ship is gone. And you're in town somehow loading goods on it, and not only that, there's a map of Europe. But somehow
an
Europe
island.
became islands.
Yeah.
Like it's like here's London, here's Paris on the wrong, and they're all in the wrong spots too.
it's
like,
so goofy.
It is, yeah.
So yeah, that part is just ridiculous. It's so bad, it's funny. But I really loved Macao. It was one that I'd watched videos for before, and I just kind of kept like glossing over, and then all of a sudden it just clicked, and I was like, "Wait, that's how this game works?" Like I just didn't understand it exactly, and then playing it was just so much fun. I don't know necessarily that the cards are balanced. I know it's extremely lucky with the dice rolls. There's a way to mitigate things, but I mean, like, I could have 15 cubes in round 4, but I mean, or probably not actually really, but there's not necessarily something I'm going to be able to do with them. Maybe move my boat or the wall, but I just mean like, and that is one aspect I really like in this game is the player order. The way initiative works with moving on the wall, there's a really fun leapfrog kind of style part to it, and that is a really good give and take I really like in the game. But I've gushed about it enough. I'm gonna let them talk.
I was very pleasantly surprised, as my earlier comment about it. Did enjoy it. I don't playing it a couple times. I don't know how many times. I don't know that I'm gonna go and just pull it off my shelf right away and be like, hey guys, let's go and play this. I played it. I really enjoyed it. But I think like I'd rather play Trajan. I kind of got the same feeling for both of these with the Mancala, like that Mancala aspect, right? That's like trying to. One, you're deciding based on dice where you're going to be able to do your actions. One's kind of like moving them around in order to do the actions, but they still have this really interesting, programming aspect where you're trying to okay, I'm going to take 6 for later, and I'm just going to build up this awesome turn, just do a massive turn several later, and that's okay. This next 2 rounds are going to only be a few things, but that next turn is just going to be like boom, 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 and do a whole bunch of things, and it was a lot of fun.
This one's a little more fly by the seat of your pants. This one's a little bit more laid back. This one's a little meaner. Macao's a little meaner and a bit more random. In Trajan, I think you have a bit more.
I think that's why I would
choice.
prefer playing Trajan, just because there is a lot of randomness into this with the dice rolling and just the cards that are coming out, whatever.
But it goes by surprisingly fast.
It goes so
Yes.
quick. We get, since we know the game, I think our third time we played it, we got it knocked out in like 45 minutes, I think.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah,
If even.
it was.
Yeah.
It's only 12 rounds and they go
Anything-
real quick.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's very like similar to Trajan, where the Mancala is almost like that whole game you're trying to master. This one is that you're
wind
like,
rose?
yeah, the wind
Yeah.
rose is almost like what you're trying to master, and the other things are just like, okay, I'm just going to do some things with the way I've planned out this thing, right? And that's the interesting aspect I liked of it.
It's also similar to Trajan that you say that because it also has this minigame aspect. Like, you can move your boat to sell goods, but you have to get the goods first to sell them, so you can go get goods on your turn. So, like, the minigames in this actually all kind of link together.
Yeah,
Whereas
you
in
can only
Trajan,
get one unless you have a card that lets you
Yeah.
get two, and then there's
also the
points for
yeah.
getting in the row, and yeah.
yeah, exactly. Like Trajan, all the minigames are kind of, for the most part, on their own.
Yeah.
But yeah, Macao, you also can build an engine, which is bizarre. Like,
I think it's interesting.
It's really cool, but it's like you also get punished if you don't build your engine because you
Yeah.
can't get cards out of your fucking thing, which happened to me a bunch the last game because Max kept rolling crappy dice for me.
I was rolling great dice for me.
I know he was having a great time. I was having a horrible
I need
time.
a purple 3!
Yes, but it's cool. Like, it's so weird. It's such a weird game.
It is, yeah.
It's so fucking weird.
It is. It is.
Is it weird?
It's weird.
It's just, yeah. It's. I really, yeah. I don't. Yeah, I like it. It's just. It's stressful. Like,
Yeah.
But I think. I mean, I do like a game where I can just do like a little bit of everything, which is why I lose a lot of euros because I don't like focus like I should. But
same.
that's why I really like a lot of Feld because it's like you can do a little bit of everything. Now, in some games like Trajan, you probably want to focus more on a couple things or
You'd
one
probably
thing
definitely want
specifically,
to,
and
yeah.
then Bonfire I feel is kind of all over the place for me.
I think you sort of do want to focus a little bit though on Bonfire.
Yeah, I mean, like, there's always you want to, but like, you get points from everything in his games, like,
Yeah.
So even if I have a suboptimal turn, it's like, well, I'm still getting 3 points from it or something,
Yeah.
which is always to me I enjoy because it feels good. I got 3 points.
I
Like,
forgot to say, speaking of getting points, that's the other weird part of Macau. You can just buy points.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
oh yeah,
I
that
mean,
is
well,
so
the coins,
weird.
that's literally all they're used for.
Yeah, you get gold in the game, but you have to get gold by trading in cubes, but only if you have certain cards that let you trade in those cubes for gold. But then all you do with the gold is buy points. So like
That's
every
so
round,
weird.
there's a value, like a gold value and a point value in every card that gets flipped, and you add those totals together, and that's your exchange rate. So you're sitting there
Great.
going, I could spend 6 coins now and get 9 points, or I can wait for a better ratio.
Yeah.
It's so.
It's
The whole
odd.
game
It's
is
so-
weird. It's so weird.
odd. It is very odd.
Yeah,
So-
I don't know that. Yeah, I'm trying to think of a game that would be like this, be like it now. I don't.
Like you just buy points for fun every turn. You're like, I'm gonna spend 3 coins to get 8 points. Hooray! Like
Because
it's,
there's literally nothing else.
because there's nothing else to do with the
Yeah.
coins. Like it's so goofy.
So I
Yes.
think all these games are good. I do like some more than others, which is the whole
Well,
point of this, is
yeah.
to rank them at the end. But
at the end. But let's just say for
yeah.
this video, which one would you? They're sitting on your shelves here, and you got game night friends coming over. Which one would you pick?
Bonfire.
right to play like right now.
Yeah, right now. If we were to just end the film and just want to play one of these 4.
Right now, I want to play. Right now, I want to play Bonfire.
Same. Bonfire.
See, I don't know. Mine would be Trajan or Bonfire. I really wouldn't know. I'd probably have to ask everyone else what they'd want.
Although I might want to
Schedule
play
them.
Aqua Sphere just to make you guys have to play it.
I would be okay with it. I wouldn't be mad. No. He would be mad. He would leave.
He can't leave. This is his house.
He would leave over there and play Trajan in the bathroom.
I'd play. I wouldn't really enjoy it.
Miserable
Kind of like
man.
why I didn't play Rising Sun. It's just I don't have a good time when I play. It's not enjoyable. Separate video.
We didn't
But-
even end up playing Rising Sun.
Well, what the? We'll talk about this later. Thank you, man. Well, thank you for tuning in to our second Fun Filled Feld February video. If you played any of them, like any of them, put a comment and let us know what you think. Which one's your favorite among these 4? Obviously, then you can stay tuned till the end to let us know what your overall favorite is. But
Tell us how right I am, how wrong they are.
You and I are going to almost be identical, I feel like.
Yeah, I think we're gonna be similar.
He's going to be the weird one.
yeah, thank you.
I only like Trajan.
Well, until next time, we're Speculative Board Games. I'm Ryan.
I'm Max.
I'm still Keegan. For now.
See you later.
Bye.